It's 9 minutes after 7. You tune in to Joy997 FM. My name is Kobe, Spiky, and Chroma, and on a Tuesday when you hear that soundtrack and hear my voice, you know the geeks are here to talk about tech. And yeah, even if you don't love tech, even if you don't even like it, you should listen to Geek Squad. Why? Because tech is ruling the world right now. It has been ruling the world for a while now. I mean, the richest man is working in a tech space. Good evening to Jeff Bezos. Yes, he's listening. He's my friend. I know him in my dreams. Anyways, yeah, he's having a good time. COVID has really made him richer than he's ever been. And I'm sure he's probably looking at Bill Gates like, poor Bill Gates. That doesn't sound right, poor Bill Gates. Yeah, but Jeff Bezos is the only person who can say poor Bill Gates. Poor China, though. Yes, that's what we're about to talk about today. The US-China trade disputes, or Cold War, quote unquote, or tech war, anything that has to do with China right now, USA doesn't want. And a lot of people are wondering, how does that even affect us? Why are we worried? Well, Michael says remove TikTok. That should let you worry. And Huawei's phones are not coming with Google Play services. Should you be worried? And considering that a lot more apps, we've mentioned this before, and I think we need to elaborate on it for people to understand what exactly is happening. Has it got anything to do with 5G? Yeah, I know people hear 5G and they think coronavirus, but no, 5G doesn't cause coronavirus, and I keep repeating this everywhere I go. 5G does not cause coronavirus, period. But yes, 5G has a part to play according to tech pundits and, you know, all the interested parties. Everybody thinks that, China is ahead in 5G technology, and that's why the US doesn't want to do business with them. Well, that's why US is giving them a tough time. So this is because Huawei is actually the biggest supplier of network equipment in the world. And the US and its allies, well, they see Huawei as a dangerous, in quotes, power. For them to control all the 5G networks worldwide, that may be worrying for them in this era of digital secrets and espionage. So, Geek Squad is brought to you by Mobile Money Interoperability, powered by GIPS. Be our hero, be safe, stay home. Across IS Safer and COVID Connect. It's a digital service that connects you to the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. You can access COVID Connect by downloading the Lissi app from the Play Store or iOS App Store. Yep. Now, to the conversation proper. I have with me Raymond Scopus. Raymond. And
yeah,
listen, I can't get over calling you Scopus.
It's normal, I know.
It's the same way people still call me Spiky. Yeah, so
I still call you Spiky.
So I can call you Scopus. Yes. So today we're talking about the US-China trade war and what is happening to the tech companies who have been caught in the crossfire. If you're listening to us and you want to join the conversation, you can send your messages to 0244 340 437 and 0244 340 437 or WhatsApp or on my favorite Telegram, my favorite app, messaging app, Telegram. Yes, I do not like WhatsApp. They bore me basa. My problems no plenty. We want there. WhatsApp. Yeah, I've lost all my messages, and as a result, WhatsApp is my enemy. Anyways, so the same way China is US's enemy, WhatsApp is my enemy. So they fixed that. Yes. So let's talk. Huawei, TikTok. I missed an opportunity to rhyme "Let's Talk" with TikTok, but never mind. I'll do it another day. Winston, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you were silent. Ray, talk to me.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So the long and short of this trade war, actually, it's been something President Donald Trump has been saying way before he became American president. They've always said China is unfair. They started with unfair trade practices. For instance, simple economics is China intentionally keeps their currency low. The Chinese currency is not traded like how the Ghana cedi trades against the dollar, so that depending on how we are performing, the rates adjust. The Chinese currency is actually fixed, and it's fixed very, very low. That way, Chinese products are always cheap when they go on the international market.
Right.
And they can afford to do that because of their numbers.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of productions locally. So what happens is it becomes cheaper for people to go and produce in China, and that's what saw a lot of the companies moving their production to China, because when you produce there and you export to the world, it is cheaper to the rest of the world, which means more profits for whoever is manufacturing there.
Yeah.
Now, President Donald Trump tried to curb this by imposing taxes on Chinese products that are coming into America to offset that balance. And China responded by also imposing taxes on US products, and that's how the war began. But unfortunately, this has triggered a series of events that have brought in tech, and Google has been banned from doing business with China.
Yeah.
And when Google got banned, America also banned Huawei, and it became a whole lot of problems that have followed since then. Now, the difficult part of the discussion is the 5G aspect of the story.
Yeah,
it looks as if America is saying that China, Huawei being a Chinese company, means that allowing Huawei installations in America exposes them to the potential of China hacking the network and collecting information about whatever Americans are doing on the network. And so, US has banned Huawei products outright. You can't even sell Huawei phones, just the normal Huawei phones, in the United States.
Yeah.
And I find that a bit tricky because we've heard the stories, we've read the articles about what NSA has done. I mean, if you follow Snowden's story, it's basically saying US was doing the same thing.
Yeah. But they don't want somebody else to do it.
Yeah. That's the funny part of the discussion. You're doing it. You don't want somebody else to do it.
No.
You're not saying that we should all stop.
No. I can't do it because I'm the school prefect. You are just a regular floor member. How should you also do it? That's basically what it is.
It puts the whole world in a very precarious situation, because if those who follow the news, you know that UK has now given the telcos in the United Kingdom up to 2027 to pull out all Huawei equipment. And it's a bit difficult because investing in technology, especially telecommunication technology, is a very expensive venture. And if United States has done this and UK has followed suit, the question you want to start asking yourself is, what about the rest of us? What's going to happen? Because, I mean, it goes without saying that a lot of people know Huawei is heavily invested in our network in Africa.
I mean,
just
the whole world. Huawei is like #1 networking equipment supplier. So asking them to pull out.
From industry perspective, right? There's this thing that goes on about outsourcing. Instead of buying the equipment and operating it and having a problem with all that. Most of the telcos nowadays just outsource the network bits to Huawei. So Huawei is the one running the network for you, and you pay Huawei a service charge. Now, how are we going to say we are going to safeguard our industry and say that, look, you know what, we think what the US is saying is right. We want you to leave. What does that mean for the telcos? I'm saying especially Africa, because we don't have capital to be able to buy the network ourselves. Before Huawei, there was Ericsson. Before Ericsson, there was Alcatel, and there was Nokia, and there was Siemens. And these are the same arrangements that have happened. Today, Ericsson is still in this country, running other telcos networks for them, that those who are not yet moved to Huawei. So is it that the whole world is going to be forced towards some other providers at the detriment of Huawei? How true is it that Huawei is actually siphoning information to China? Is this just America trying to be ahead of the... I mean, there are too many questions.
Now, that even brings us to the point that before the UK said they were going to ask Huawei to pull out, or they were going to take out Huawei equipment, they said they had done their checks and realized that Huawei devices were not spying on people. So why the sudden U-turn?
According to there's a former MI6 boss that commented on this on BBC, and he was like, it is the potential that is worrying,
not the fact that they're actually doing it.
It's not the fact that they are, because if they were actually doing it, why give them 7 years?
Okay, so question here. Say they get Huawei out of the way and then go for one of these other providers that you mentioned, Alcatel or Ericsson. What's the probability that these two can't do the same?
That's the thing. So, like you said, we are the school prefects. It's okay when I do it, but you, the rest of you cannot do it, because we think about it.
Yeah.
How many people really pay attention to how much data, how much information they're giving out? Even simple mobile apps on our phones are collecting a lot of information, and a lot of people don't really care that much.
Yeah.
There's this thing that people do on Facebook, I noticed, where the app, you go onto an app and then it collects your profile information, your pictures, and does an analysis and says, oh, if you were a woman, this is how you have looked like. A lot of people don't know that these are some of the things that Cambridge Analytica used to collect information.
Yeah.
And they still use it. After all that has happened, people still use these apps.
Why shouldn't we?
That's the question. So do people really care about their data that much?
Winston, do people care about their data that much?
It's an ongoing conversation. It stems from education, but I've listened to everything Raymond said, and there are some very pertinent points. The potential is the premise of the fear. And if you remember last week, Michael talked about this, where it would seem that Chinese firms have the proclivity to actually use the data they collect. You see, so that in itself is its own problem. Now, when you talk about the possibility or the future, people will also grow to understand that, oh, our data is important. It's just a matter of time. It's the same way in the beginning, no one really cared about the internet. Then more people got on the internet and more people learned about the internet. So it's the same. We are transitioning into a new phase, which is more data centered. The 5G game is being, like, the reason why we're moving to 5G is because of faster data manipulation, transfer, and all of that. That's one of the reasons why we are doing this. So once we enter that phase, people will start to learn and become responsible. Do you want a company to have had collected data prior to this nursery stage? Like, because right now, not many people care, just a few people care. Do you want that? And like you said, we are the school prefect. That also poses another interest. In Facebook has been doing, like you said, Cambridge Analytica has been doing this for a while. But I think the distinction with this is the fact that there is this feeling of accountability with Western companies, in the sense that if any hour, I can take you to court. But with the way China is set up, what are you going to do? Let's take the whole Cambridge Analytica story. The man who started this whole thing started fighting for his data, like he wanted to see all the information that they had on him. It took him about 3 to 4 years to get that data, to finally get that data. Do you think if he was in the UK and it was China, do you think this would have worked out?
Well,
the Chinese people are generally, for the lack of a better term, meek, in the sense that they have a very interesting system which is socialist but capitalistically opportunistic, in the sense that you listen to the government, all right, but if you have an idea that is going to make us some money, go ahead, as long as you follow our rules.
Right.
You get that?
Right.
So you are dealing with a totally different culture altogether. Do we have to learn about their culture before we deal with them? We already know the Western culture, so there's this relatively greater sense of ease. That's why we can use the term that they are the class prefect, so they can get to do it. The class prefect, the school prefect, you voted for him, you trust in him. So if he's couldn't such a start, maybe you get it.
So basically, it's the fact that we don't know, we can't hold the Chinese accountable. That's what's accounting for this hostility towards them.
I feel like that is for us. The politics of it, I don't really want to get
now.
Into it.
Yeah, I get it, but that's what I want to segue into. The apps that were caught in the crossfire. Now we've seen that the Indian Army has banned about 89 apps. WeChat, PUBG. I mean PUBG. Come on. ShareChat, Viber, IMO, Emo. You know Emo, that video messaging app. There's what?
Yeah.
TikTok. There's Nimbuzz. There's Uvu. There's Truecaller. There's Cam Scanner. There's UC Browser. There's Zoom. There is all Tencent gaming apps basically, which includes Call of Duty, OkCupid, Tinder. All these apps. Now,
Clash of Clans.
Clash of Clans. Yes. Now, let me just. We know Tencent. Tencent is the owner of WeChat. Tencent is a Chinese company, and Tencent basically has shares, or should I say, owns PUBG and Call of Duty and most of these apps that have been caught in a crossfire. Now, my concern mainly is, what have they got to do with any of this? Is it because they're Chinese, so they automatically are also stealing data? They're also spying on us?
If I'll jump in here, the thing with trade wars generally, when you study economics, is it escalates, and then it in no time degenerates into something else. So we could start off by saying that, look, we are trying to balance what is happening. So Ghana, for instance, we still run a free market. So when you have something coming in, you don't have restrictions, you just put taxes on you and stuff like that. Once, for instance, Ghana is saying that we are going to ban accident cars and old cars from coming into the country. That is a bit open. If Ghana had got to say that we are banning cars coming from this country, we could have a genuine reason for doing that, and the country will retaliate, and then we will retaliate. In no time, you realize that the ban starts going on to things that had nothing to do with the original idea. All these apps that you've mentioned, Zoom, yes, he's Chinese, but the company is in America.
Yeah.
So we are banning Zoom, so that what happens? I mean, a lot of these things would happen over time. Google cannot be in China. People said Google was already not in China anyway.
Yeah.
Because of their firewall and restrictions, so it wasn't an issue. But the fact that Huawei cannot put Android on their phones anymore.
You mean like
Huawei have
on
to
their
go out
phones?
of their
Because they still have Android.
Yeah, but you know Huawei is secretly developing its
own OS.
Yes, because they foresaw this coming. And then now the fallout are all these apps that you're mentioning. Interestingly, Alibaba is also gearing up and investing in a lot of American products. So what will happen to those products? That's the question you want to ask. Just a couple of months ago, they launched Alipay, which is already working in America. There's Ali Pictures, which invests in movies and productions, and they have this online service where you can stream the movies and stuff. Where, like, you start asking yourself, where will this thing end? Where will it stop? Because knowing Donald Trump as he is, he's not going to be the one to say, I'm sorry.
So, question here. All these things happening, they're happening to people in the US and the UK. Now, those of us in Ghana, how is this going to affect us? So, for instance, so India is asking its army is asking its personnel to uninstall these apps. But I don't foresee Ghana telling its citizens to uninstall these apps or stop using these apps or services. So someone is probably wondering, why should we even care? I mean, this is the Western versus Eastern. Let those of us in the free world, i.e. Africa, let us just be. Should we be worried?
You think so? You think you're in a free world?
Yes.
I put it in air quotes, but yeah.
Everyone be worried.
Yeah, Michael.
Be wary. Be aware. Be concerned.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Splinter Michael.
Yes.
So you want to tell us why we should be worried?
Be on notice. Because we live now in a digital world where the consequences of what we say and do online are now significantly amplified. Before we even talk about what government agencies and Cambridge Analytica may be doing with our data and our history, let's use a more laid-back example. There have been many instances in the past where people have, even now, actually, going on with the social strife that's going on in the USA. A big part of why it has so much steam now is because we now live in an age where the default bystander action whenever things occur is to record them. And now I think there's someone who's doing a thread on Twitter where he's counting up from every recorded instance of police aggression. As of yesterday, he was 745. And this is all crowd fed. This is just people literally just recording with their phones, just capturing what is going on in the world around them. And these consequences go far. One of the policemen who was involved in the death of George Floyd was not acquitted. He was put on bail and released. Then, out of nowhere, someone catches him, records him in a grocery store in the USA. We now live in an interconnected world that you cannot get away. It is incredibly difficult to get away from being monitored and recorded and having some form of a data of you being logged somewhere. And that's even on a person-to-person basis. When governments and companies get involved, as we have seen in the past and as is all continuing to happen and go on, it expands. Yet people don't understand that the profiles that exist of them are vast in the world, and not just in one place. Your profiles exist in vast quantities in several places. Google now have a button that shows you all of the data they have on you. And if you go inside your own privacy, and people who don't know, you can literally find your own voice recordings on there. From they have
your Hey Google.
On there, and this is what they are telling you that they have on you publicly. I'm sure anyone can attest to the fact that sometimes they are out there randomly talking with a friend. Nothing apparent is running on your phone, or when you say you want to go and buy something, you're interested in something. You're interested in something. Go back home, open your YouTube, very first advert you see, a recommendation for that. You scroll down further, and a video describe what you call on the very topic you are talking about is sitting there waiting for you. These are the things that happen, and Facebook does it, Twitter does it. I mean, we are now the most important commodity to these tech companies. The data we provide now, and some use it simply for money-making purposes, and in some cases, those purposes are a bit gray. Should you be making so much money, or should you know so much about me in order for me to be willing to pass my hard-earned money to pay you for things? But then it gets darker and darker. The Cambridge Analytica scandal, which is probably not the only one. Then you have questions like, what are the U.S. gathering on individuals and people? What is China gathering in the U.S. on people? China have even come forward and said that, look, every Chinese citizen now has a social score, where literally all aspects of your behavior, online and physical, contributes to how much freedom, quote unquote, you are given as a Chinese citizen. Now, I encourage all our listeners to look up. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Some of the things that are listed in the Chinese social standards. Some things make a bit of sense, but other things, like some other things, are quite scary. Like, wow, are these the things that could, quote unquote, prevent me from small levels where you're not able to leave your city or your state, and then slowly and surely, as you commit, quote unquote, more violations, you're eventually not even able to leave your own house. You're not able to own a passport. You're not able to even go online or access certain services.
So all this is
Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kobe. Let me ask Michael a question. The question is, speaking about the social score in China and all that, there is a difference. There's a stark difference between how the Chinese society works and basically how the rest of the world works. Most of the rest of the world works. You could have a social score system in your country because of the way your culture and your laws and everything is. And so you can justify collecting data on your people because that's what you want to do. But what about me? I'm in Ghana. Why are you collecting my data? You can't put a social score system on me unless maybe it becomes a precursor for me when I'm going to collect a visa from the embassy to go to China, and then they look at my data and say, you, this guy, you said a lot of nasty things. No, we are not giving our visa. The question is that fair?
No, absolutely isn't fair. In fact, the president has already said, and not in fact by China, because maybe when we open the lines, if some of our listeners have applied for visas and may have been experienced such a thing, they should let us know. But not for China, but such a thing has actually come out from the USA. When now,
perfect.
Yes, school people have said that now, when you are applying for visas, you have to submit all of your social media accounts you've used over the past 10 or 15 years. Defunct or otherwise, submit every single one of them. And there have been instances where
defunct otherwise means that even if you've deleted your accounts, they can still have access to that data.
They want it. Now, I've been curious because there's been a very public spat between tech companies and the US government about being able to access their users' data. It's been very public, where the US government say, oh, give us access to people's data. And with the exception of Facebook, a lot of them say no. By giving you access to our customers' data, we are breaching a very fundamental aspect of their privacy. So no, we will not do that. And well, we don't know how that has proceeded. I mean, there have been several cases where, for example, the FBI have been trying to get into the phones of terrorists, and they've repeatedly gone to Apple and said, "Give us access." Apple say no.
If and then somebody else does.
Such a thing, and then somebody else does. Now, how it happened, we don't know. But Apple can watch and obvious it was Israel not involved. Yes. So or once it happens on both sides. Now, I am worried here. Granted, before you did mention an example where if you are traveling and applying for a visa, then these things are being used against you. You've voiced out against a very heated social issue and chosen one side or another, and the side you've chosen is now used against you in your visa application when you simply just want to go and visit your family. It's not fair. It shouldn't happen. That's now how the ball rolls. And Lord knows, the thing is, they might even say, yeah, go ahead and come, everything is fine. And you get there, then they throw the bomb on you that, yeah, while you're here, can you explain to us in private why you said these things, or why you started on this issue? It's a worrying thing on both sides.
Yeah, it is. And that's a very interesting point. Now from Mile 7 says, most people do care about their data being taken away from them. But for one thing, if the app provides a service you really need at that moment, you'll be tempted and willing to just give it up, hoping it will be fine. Also, China is not like any Western states that you can battle in court. They are not a democratic state. So that in itself is scary for most people. As from now, in Mile 7. We've got... Okay, no. So, someone's asking for the Telegram account. It's t.me/JoyGeekSquad. So you can send your messages to us on WhatsApp or Telegram. It's 0244 340 437. That's 0244 340 437. Yes. So, now, I was reading this on Twitter by Tom Warren, and he was talking about how, well, back to Tencent, which is also a Chinese company, owner of WeChat, is a big investor in the biggest entertainment industry in the US, which is gaming. And Tencent has invested a lot of money in US companies, including Reddit, Discord, Activision, and Snapchat. And it even owns 5% of Tesla.
Yep. Yeah.
Was that a gobble? Someone just gobble to say case closed. Now, he goes on to say if Tencent goes further with its cloud and AI investment, then it could easily emerge as a US target. Huawei is caught in the middle of the US war with China, and if it's not resolved, this war will drag many other Chinese companies, as we're seeing, in. Ultimately, the US Cold War with China is being played out through trade and bits and bytes, not bullets and bombs. Once the US is done locking Huawei out, it will move its attention elsewhere. And he says it feels like this war has only just begun. So right now Huawei is in the crosshairs. Obviously, once they're done with them, they're going to move to others. But the question a lot of people are asking is, if the USA is worried about Huawei, now away from the 5G infrastructure, let's talk about the consumer technology, the phones, the tablets, the laptops.
It's the same thing, Holly.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is the 5G, people would think that, 5G is enterprise, so that's targeting bigger people. Me, my Huawei small phone that I'm holding, or my ZTE small phone, or I'm speaking for the consumer. Why does anybody would track me on that, my small phone, my, what do you call it, Xiaomi, you know? Yeah, why would they want to track me on that?
I've been trying to explain this to a friend of mine, and there was this article, let me use another analogy. There was this article we were reading about China building a dam somewhere, I've forgotten the name of the town. The dam was so huge that when it got into operation, calculation has shown that it reduced the rotation of the world, the speed of the rotation of the world by 0.06 seconds. And somebody was like, it's just 0.06 seconds, what's the big deal? Right. It's usually not an issue when you think about the infinitesimal event.
Right.
But it's the knock-on effect over time that becomes the problem. So like when Winston was talking, I was like, right now, we are not really saying much about our data because we are not yet in there. But when eventually we get there, it would have been too late. And I understand Winston clearly when he said that, because before the internet came, this side of the world, we really didn't care. We're using phone calls and text messages and we're fine. And yes, those text messages were sitting on some service providers' server, but we didn't worry about it so much. This one is collecting a lot more data. You realize that the knock-on effect has grown And so people have started being worried. If you say that, oh, I have a phone, it's just a Huawei phone, why should I worry? Why should the phone be banned? What about the network? The phone communicates with that network. The data leaves your phone and goes to the network. It's not that the network is doing its own thing. No. You might think that, oh, what am I doing as a Ghanaian? Or me, I'm sitting my somewhere doing my WhatsApp. What is there for them to collect? But the statistics though, that's one thing you need to remember, that you are a data point in a certain statistic.
Right.
If you take one single person in the Cambridge Analytica story, the person might not be relevant. Oh, it's just one guy on Facebook looking at some pictures and doing his own thing. But they use that to analyze how people behave over time.
Right.
And they use that information to be able to change governments. So they know what to tell one government in order for them to remove somebody else. I can say, for lack of a better word, that is basically a digital coup if you look at it. So yes, be worried. Even though you are just one guy sitting in some corner somewhere watching TikTok videos. Somebody was telling me that, as for me, I don't do anything on TikTok. I just go and watch other people's videos. That's what you think. That's what you think. Once you have logged in, once you're in the network, we know what you are doing.
I mean, it's important to. Sorry. On the TikTok thing, on the TikTok thing, Spikey knows I'm an anti-TikTok evangelist.
Yes. We've established that. Now, one of you mentioned that Facebook will easily give out our data, and we've got a question here saying, you just said Facebook would easily give out our data. WhatsApp is also owned by Facebook. Does it mean WhatsApp can also give out our data that easily? You didn't add the name.
Not can. Like, in all likeliness, it does already.
Okay. We're going to get to the bottom of that in a bit after we go for a commercial break. But before that, let me tell you about COVID Connect. Are you worried you may be having COVID-19 symptoms? Do not panic at all. Download the Lucy app to access COVID Connect. COVID Connect is not just an app, it is a service. COVID Connect is a virtual consulting room which allows users of the app to fill in their COVID-19 symptoms, and if your symptoms are rated mild to high risk, you will receive a call from the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. They will care for you based on the treatment guidelines prescribed by the WHO at the comfort of your home, and an ambulance will be dispatched to pick those who may require in-hospital treatment and testing for COVID-19. Download the Lucy app right now and connect to this service. Lucy is spelled Luscii. COVID Connect for Health. COVID Connect is brought to you by the UGMC, Ministry of Health, and supported by the Farm Access Foundation. We'll be right back.
Mate, collect my phone and tell the person, say, it's fell in your car. I need to send this person mobile money, but we are not on the same network, and they also won't understand.
You can now send and receive mobile money on all networks across a year easy.
Hey, sir, I didn't know.
From your network to other networks, you can now send and receive mobile money directly across IA Easy. This service is powered by GIFT.
Hello. This is UGMC COVID Connect.
I'm Dr. Wilfred Asma.
I understand you have a runny nose. It doesn't necessarily mean you have COVID-19, and that is why I need you to calm down so that we do the best we can to help you.
COVID Connect, a digital service, connects you to the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center for quality medical support, expert psychological counseling, testing, and in-hospital management.
Access COVID Connect by downloading Lucy Vitals on Play Store or iOS.
COVID Connect is brought to you by the UGMC, the Ministry of Health, and supported by the Farm Access Foundation.
And we're back. Geek Squad is brought to you by Mobile Money Interoperability powered by Gibbs. Be our hero, be safe, stay home across our year safer. COVID Connect. It's a digital service that connects to the medical team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. Access COVID Connect by downloading the C app from the Play Store or the iOS App Store. So before we went on the break, we were talking about the USA-China trade war and how it's affecting the tech companies like Huawei, TikTok, Tencent, WeChat, and so on and so forth. And my panelists seem to be of the view that, hey, we can't trust the Chinese because, hey, they don't want, I mean, they're not letting Google in. So if the Americans are not letting them in, why worry? I mean, do unto others as you want to be done unto you. No be so. Good evening, this is Stephen from KNUST. All the stuff that the US is doing is out of paranoia. China has the second largest economy by nominal GDP and the largest in terms of purchasing power. It has been established that they will surpass the US by 2025. So all this stuff is just to prevent that. It's just a battle for supremacy, into brackets superpowers, but it's inevitable. China will win. This is Stephen from KNUST. Personally, I want to know, Winston, Raymond, and Michael, we all know that these tech companies are taking our data. Now the question is, who would you trust to take your data? Would you trust the Chinese to take your data, or would you trust the Americans to take your data? Because as it stands, I mean, do we think that they're all not doing it? You guys said, yeah, it's who's accountable, but I don't really think it's about who's accountable. I think it's about who can do their worst.
I honestly prefer China taking, the US taking.
Yes, that's from the bottom of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Michael, are you going to apply for visa anytime soon?
Yes, actually, am. So yes, US, please take my data. You already have it.
I think all those for USA is because of visa, eh?
Okay, so my thoughts about this, I have actually read the Asian Data Protection Act. It is very vague. It is very, very vague in terms of what they do, how they collect data, how long they can collect data for, can they pass on the data to another company to do. You know, in the GDPR and in the West and even in Africa now, there are stringent rules. You can see that, no, if you collect this data, you can't pass it on and you can only keep it for so and so number of years. The Asian one is not the same. So just based on that knowledge, I am not particularly certain I will be happy with Chinese companies collecting my data, because my ability to A, trace it, and B, ask for it back is next to impossible.
Okay, so here's the thing. What if you could stop them from collecting your data?
How?
Can you?
Uninstall TikTok.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that. I mean, the apps are obviously going to ask you your permission for your data, unless we're saying that yes, they are asking the permission, but in actual fact they are in the back like, oh please, can I have this, and then you say no, and then they go back, you know, behind you, open it, and then steal your data.
Which is why you uninstall TikTok.
Michael,
here's the thing.
Never.
The truth in this whole matter is that if we are going to weigh between companies stealing your data and something we rarely talk about, you knowingly or unknowingly offering your data, which do you think is worse? Because let me just give an easy scenario. Like people talk about the fact that me, I'm only on TikTok, or me, I'm only on Facebook, me, I'm minding my business. You are minding your business. Agreed. Let's say, hypothetically, you create a post. I think I've said this here before. You create a post. Saturday morning, like for Wachi, comments for Hausa Kuku. And you post it on a Saturday morning. By the end of Saturday, the engagement is like 300,000 people, and then the likes and comments have been split. And let's say Wache happens to win. As a marketer, if I was asking Facebook for information, if I was selling wachi, and I'll ask Facebook for this is the type of information I'm going to ask, and it's free data. It is like I can literally just go to who posted this and see that 200,000 people think that wachi on a Saturday morning is the best thing ever. I will sell my wachi on Saturday free. I didn't even need to go to Facebook to find that information. I can see it on your wall, or Charlie, it's been a while since I've been on Facebook, so I don't know what they call it anymore, but yeah, it's there. So I think sometimes the question about data being stolen is what we should also discuss what we offer on our own. People actually be posting their phone numbers on
social media.
Yeah, and I wonder.
So what I was asking. So if you're using these devices, but you're not really doing. So let's say I'm treating that phone as a yam, and nothing that is going on it or off it can be tied to me. Should I still worry?
Yeah, there's no such thing as cannot be tied to you. That's not true. So don't let people not get into that space of thinking that, oh, I have a young phone, so I'm okay. They're not. Every phone has a unique ID. It's called the IMEI number.
IMEI.
The SIM card also has one. So once you plug the phone, the SIM in the phone, we know where you are.
You just said
who you are.
Are you aware you just said we?
Yes, I mean, I'm using it figuratively, please.
Thank you for giving yourself away. Yes.
So that's what Raymond said. Here's the thing. Right now, generally, if you ask hackers and everything, when they are collecting data or stealing data, they just take a wide pool. Targeted hacks are for when you are important or there's some sort of importance that is going to be derived from this act. The same goes for you just being a regular person on your Facebook till something happens that makes you worthy of being tracked. Now, I'm going to bring Hush Puppy into this. Instagram, flaunting that money, he drew attention. There was a need, there was a reason why the Dubai cyber security team took notice of him. Some dare say that if he had stayed on the down low, he may have run this ship a little longer, and maybe a lot longer. But he didn't. He was on Instagram. So you see, these tiny things. Yeah, these tiny things. Sometimes, I don't know, this conversation about data, I personally feel like it requires a lot of educating. As now from my 7 said, to utilize the service, there's some data you have to give up. However, I think we've said this here before. If you are installing an app, let's say you're installing a game, and the game is asking to make phone calls. For what? You need to ask yourself this.
And on that bombshell, let me just... Well, we've run out of time.
Okay.
Yes. But thank you very much for letting people know that the game is asking to make phone calls. Maybe you want to call your friends and tell them to play some of the game, you know? So we've got a few messages here. Let me read them. This is from Sammy Moore. He says, Charlie, even TikTok have appointed an American as their CEO and have disassociated themselves from Hong Kong to please the Americans. Yeah, so yeah, the Chinese are really trying hard to not come across as Chinese. And we've got a message from Sammy from Spintex. He says, on Android phones, when a new app is installed, say WhatsApp, the phone asks you if you'd like to give WhatsApp access to your photos, contacts, or camera. If you deny access, does it mean that they can't get access to your info? That's Sammy from Spintex. So, I think this ties in with what you were saying before it ended. Quickly, in about 30 seconds, if you can answer this.
Here's the thing. There are apps that you can use. I think the one is called Exodus, I think. That will tell you all the permissions that all the apps on your phone have.
Yeah.
And it will grade them into what it should generally have that's not dangerous. And then it will break all the way down to red tag ones that it should not have.
Right.
So if you are so worried about your data being taken out, it will require some sacrifices. Because, for instance, if you are using Uber, your GPS is very important.
Yeah.
So you have to weigh the odds.
Okay.
Do I sacrifice to get this service or not?
Okay.
That's on Android. Now, when iOS 14 comes out, be sure to install that if you're using an iDevice, because they have posted their privacy trackers on there. Now, if, for example, your phone is just supposed to be resting and the camera switches on while you are not being informed, but colored light appears on the phone screen to tell you that the camera is active even though you are not actually using said app that may be accessing it. And to tell you which app is using and what exactly the data the app is reading as you are using the phone.
Great.
So to write names of top artists.
Got it. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Winston. Thank you, Michael, as always. And shout outs to those who did the listening. Sammy Moore, now from Al 7, Efua George from AFC, Nino, Valiant, and Viola, and our very own Sunshine, whom we miss so much. Winston, I know you can hear me.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, sorry.
People miss Sunshine. Anyway, my name is Kobe Spicy. You've been listening to Geek Squad, and we'll catch you next week with more tech on Joy FM.